Last year I did a video on the history of Dr. Seuss movies and how the film rights have been passed around. While in doing research for that video, I somehow missed a fascinating piece of information regarding a planned film adaptation of All the Places You'll Go. Like I said, after being disappointed with the 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T, Theodore Geisel stopped working in Hollywood and only gave his approval to make animated television specials. But there was one exception. Producers Roland Joffe and Ben Myron, who were part of the production company Leitmotiv, were able to convince Dr. Seuss to allow them to make an adaptation of All the Place You'll Go. Joffe is most well known for being the director of The Killing Fields and The Mission, but he was also the producer of the live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie, so he seemed to have an ability of convincing people to let him have the film rights to their work. They signed a deal with TriStar to make the film, and Seuss himself would write the screenplay. He also wrote 13 songs and even included drawings in the screenplay to show how he envisioned the characters to look like. The plan was to do it as an animated feature, and it would include characters from his books, with the Cat in the Hat having a prominent role. Dr. Seuss passed away in September 1991, making this one of the last projects he ever worked on. Following his death, the producers brought in Richard LeGravenesse, the screenwriter of The Fisher King, to perform a rewrite, though he still stuck closely to the story Seuss devised. I read his draft, which is not that difficult to find online, and found it quite fascinating. It's a very surreal script involving the Cat in the Hat helping young boys see the joys of life as they journey from one Seussian world to the next. Horton the elephant even makes a cameo, and a significant amount of the dialogue, including everything spoken by the cat, is in rhyme. The villain is a character named Sneaky, who seeks to show this boy the problems he'll face in life and attempts to get the cat's magical umbrella for his own devious purposes. There's also Miggles, who tries to be a helpful guiding light to the boy. The themes in the script remind me quite a bit of Inside Out. And while it starts off fairly episodic, I think under the right direction it could have been something emotional and imaginative. To direct the movie, they hired Jim George and Bob Seeley, the directors of Rover Dangerfield, and they performed a complete rewrite. Following this, we get the familiar Hollywood story of the script being passed to multiple screenwriters, including Benny and June writer Barry Berman and Cool Runnings writers Tommy Swerdlow and Michael Goldberg, and each script departed further away from Seuss's original story. For example, Berman's draft was about the boy being put under a lot of pressure to defeat an evil monster named the Gloomster, who's kidnapped a bunch of children. LeGravenesse's draft was more than acceptable, so I don't know why other writers felt the need to make such drastic changes. In 1998, Ron Howard and Brian Grazer's Imagine Entertainment and Universal Pictures got the rights to both How the Grinch Stole Christmas and All the Places You'll Go. This was during the period I mentioned in my video of Audrey Geisel selling the film rights, which also included Steven Spielberg getting the Cat in the Hat. Howard and Grazer reportedly were unaware of TriStar having the All the Place You'll Go rights, and thus had to pay them the money they already spent on developing the film in order to make their adaptation. The plan was to make it as a live-action film, but with a focus on the Grinch and then later the Cat in the Hat, it never got made. A few years after Warner Brothers got the rights to make Dr. Seuss movies, they announced an animated All the Place You'll Go movie, with J.J. Abrams producing and eventually Jill Colton and John M. Chu directing. Could this potentially go back to Seuss's screenplay and LeGravenesse's draft and use those as inspiration? Well, here's the interesting part. The premise of Warner Brothers' upcoming Cat in the Hat movie involves an organization assigned the cat to help children in need, which is similar to the role he plays in the All the Place You'll Go draft I read. Additionally, the trailer shows him annoying his boss, both in person and over the telephone. These are also scenes depicted in LeGravenesse's script. His boss in that script was Mr. Hoobabloob, the main character from the Dr. Seuss animated special, The Hoobabloob Highway. In The Cat in the Hat, his boss is named Mr. Hoojaboom, who's an original character created for the movie, but the name sure sounds similar to Hoobabloob. So I would not be surprised if the people behind these new Dr. Seuss movies at Warner Brothers are aware of the All the Place You'll Go script and took some inspiration from it when putting together the cinematic universe they're planning. As for the Places You'll Go adaptation, Rob Lieber is reportedly writing the screenplay, and it will feature songs by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. Could they potentially use elements from the Seuss and LeGravenesse drafts? It was announced Ariana Grande and Josh Gad would have voice roles in the movie, and I could easily imagine Grande playing Miggles and Gad possibly voicing Sneaky. Of course, it's entirely likely they've created a new story from scratch, but I'm very curious to see what the finished film ends up having in common with All the Place You'll Go movie that never happened.